betrayal trauma is a concept that was studied and researched by the psychologist Jennifer Freyd, and it refers to the psychological distress experienced by someone who has had their trust violated, who has been betrayed by someone, and it's to describe the emotional aftermath after somebody discovers that a loved one, a friend or a family member or a partner has lied to them, cheated on them, deceived them in some way, and how it breaks down your trust and your sense of security, how it leaves you with feelings of shock and confusion and anger and resentment and sadness and fear and all the emotions that you have to process when you discover that somebody has betrayed you in some way. When it comes to a narcissistic person, they're going to betray you in so many ways that you don't even know half the ways they're going to betray you in, because they feel entitled to do as they please. They have that grandiose sense of self-importance. They are willing to exploit people to get their needs met, and they lack the empathy to care for how their behaviour affects those around them. Instead, they just are highly skilled at the art of manipulation, and when they betray somebody, which naturally causes so many different emotional feelings within the person who is being betrayed, the narcissist just accuses the person who the narcissist betrayed of having trust issues, of being jealous, of being bitter, of being angry. All the things that the narcissist has actually provoked within their victim, because the narcissist lacks honesty and loyalty and respect. Instead, they're going to go all out to exploit and gaslight and shift the blame. They're going to lie and devalue and undermine the other person's self-esteem, self-confidence. They're going to erode that person's personality away. A narcissist's main objective is to maintain that facade that they're selling to those around them, to remain dominant, to remain in control. And they often leave their victims feeling trapped and powerless. And the betrayals shatter your self-trust, they shatter your self-esteem. 1 minute you're going through life and everything, although it might not be okay, everything seems okay. And then the next minute you find something out, and everything that you once thought what was is now no longer. It's all built up on lies and deception and manipulation, and you're left with so many questions, wondering what happened, wondering what you could have done better, wondering when this situation was happening, were they actually in a different situation? And then your present has just completely been crumpled up on you, and you've got to figure out what on earth your next move is going to be, and your future that you had planned with them, well, that's all gone to pot because you've just got some evidence that they've hurt you in some of the most horrific ways. And the worst thing about this is they do not care. They're not bothered. They don't take responsibility. They don't take ownership. They pass that on to you. They blame you. They attack you. They accuse you. They play the victim to the reality they created for you. They make their worst fears come into reality for you, and then they blame you. They're a con artist. They sell you your dreams, pretending that they want those dreams too. So it creates that connection and that strong desire to make things work with them, and then they deliver you their worst nightmares. So a narcissistic person fears criticism because they perceive themselves to be perfect. So they're going to criticize you so that they can remain feeling superior. They fear abandonment and rejection, and whenever you're not living life on their terms, they're going to withhold attention, affection and support. So you live in fear of abandonment and rejection, and when they're not getting what they want from you, they're going to up and leave you, and you're going to discover so many things that they've done to you that you weren't aware of because they were lying to you and deceiving you. And it leaves so many emotional wounds from that shattered trust, to the emotional distress, to the anxiety and depression and loss of self-esteem, PTSD. And you can also be trauma bonded to the very person who's betrayed you. Not only can you be trauma bonded to this person, you can also be full of intrigue and seeking out answers, to which the narcissist is just going to accuse you of being obsessed with them. And society as a whole doesn't necessarily recognise the emotional impact that somebody being lied to and deceived to and cheated on is left with. Instead, they are often pulled in by the narcissist's charismatic charm and blame shifting as to why it was the other person's fault. Or when the other person has things like PTSD and anxiety and depression, it helps with the narcissist smear campaign when they're telling everybody how their ex is the crazy one, their parent is the crazy one, their child is the crazy one, their friend is the crazy one, while the narcissist plays either the hero of how much they tried to help and support but just couldn't take any more, or the victim of how much that person has taken from them and destroyed them, while the genuine victim is left in emotional ruin, trying to understand and process everything that's happened and rebuild their lives. There's several steps that can be taken to help you process and heal, and one of the first is to acknowledge the abuse that you have been through, which is often why writing it out, journaling, finding someone to speak to can help you process and validate it all. Yes, narcissistic people require that external validation to match their lies, to match their deception. When they've cheated on someone and accused that person of being bitter and envious of them, it makes the narcissist feel good and match the reality that everyone is envious of them. And then when people validate them and say, oh yes, they're just envious and bitter, it makes the narcissist believe their reality all the more, which is why they sell it so well. When you're looking for validation, you're looking for the actual information, the actual reality. You're looking to, you lived one reality, causing that cognitive dissonance. So you lived one reality where you've got your values and your beliefs set around something, and then new information comes along and tears that reality apart, and you're left in that cognitive dissonance of the confusion of being conflicted between the two different realities. And then you've got to piece that reality back together, and more often than not, we need validation from somebody else to help us piece the actual reality together, so that we don't fall back into the lies, don't fall back into the narcissist traps. So finding someone to speak to who is understanding and supportive of what you have been through. Creating boundaries, and the best boundaries to create around a narcissistic person is distance, physical, psychological and emotional, in order to protect yourself from them. Not to be mean to them, not to hurt them, to protect yourself from them. Narcissistic people do not like losing supply. So if by you cutting off your supply to them helps you set that boundary and move forward, you have got to use whatever motivation you can pull on within you to create a better life for you. Lots of self-care, exercise, reading, running, learning new skills, meditation, whatever it is that you find relaxing, listening to music, listening to classical music, going for long walks, going for a swim, whatever it is, find the things that you enjoy and go and do them. And the challenging thing about this is things like exercise, yeah, we might enjoy it afterwards, but the build up to going and doing it, not so keen on. Yet if we don't do it, we often feel worse, and we have to remember that we'll feel worse we don't do it, and that should motivate us. We have to find what motivates us to do the things that we don't necessarily want to do, but we know actually benefit us. And if exercise isn't your thing, things like yoga, if yoga is not your thing, it's about finding the thing that you enjoy. Lots of self-care. Educate yourself on narcissism, on their behaviour, on everything you have been through. Some people don't like labels. That's usually people who don't want people to be aware of their behaviour because they can no longer get away with their behaviour. When people learn to recognise and understand it, we're often very naive unless we've either had a life experience or life education. And life experience does unfortunately teach us better than life education because we live it and learn it firsthand. So educate yourself on everything you've been through so that you can put the pieces back together, so that you can recognise the games that they are playing. And then work on rebuilding your trust. And you work on rebuilding your trust slowly by first and foremost learning to trust within yourself again, learning to trust your instincts again. We all have those moments when we think, that feels a bit off, and go against our instincts, and later down the line then we learn what our instincts were telling us, but we didn't recognise it at the time. With education and awareness, we can sort of then start to recognise what our instincts are telling us and just take a step back and take things slower. Trust is earned, not given. So rebuilding your trust, seeking the help and support that you need. If anyone has any thoughts on this video, please add those into the comments for people reading through, or anything that helps you recover. Add those in, because what works for one doesn't necessarily work for another, and what works for one might just well help another person out. Thank you very much to all the returning subscribers and your continued support with the channel. It's greatly appreciated. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw. This channel is all about narcissistic personality disorder, to give you more information and understanding of narcissistic and emotional abuse. If you do find the information helpful on the channel, please do subscribe. If you are looking for further help and support in understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, I do have several online guides available, and those teachable links are in the video description. If you're looking for someone to speak to, I have partnered with BetterHelp, and their sponsored link is also in the video description. I do also have a couple of books out on Amazon: a Narcissists Handbook, which is the ultimate guide to understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, and 15 rules to deal with narcissistic people in case you can't go no contact with them. I shall link those into the video description also. Go out there and create the day that you deserve, because you do deserve to have an amazing day. Bye.